Hello there, my name is Kirby Graywitch, and you've reached me here on the InBetween, where we discuss all things witchy, transits, tarot spreads, tea leaf readings. Matter of fact, I am sipping my tea right now. Just an overview. I use AI integration in my readings. I think the tools are there, and it's like when Mercury goes retrograde, you see a lot of, because Mercury is a planet of communication, you see a lot of things like phones malfunctioning or just acting up, or the internet acting up, or I've even seen, when it's strongly felt, street lights that have stopped working. And if we think about this, in essence, what is technology if not a form of communication? So it is energy, it is communication, and therefore I'm a firm believer in utilizing the tools that I have available to me. So without further ado, let's go ahead and talk about the major transits and their collective effects for today. Today is October 6th, and we have a full moon in Aries. The collective effect of this full moon in Aries is encouraging a collective release of fear, doubt, and hesitation. It prompts people to focus on their personal path, stop overthinking, and overcome the need for permission from others. Key themes would be reclaiming personal power, decisive action, and new beginnings. So, which new beginnings are normally seen with the new moon. However, being that the full moon is in Aries, it's just like, certain phases are good for certain things, but it also depends on what zodiac sign it is. So that's like when you're doing a tarot spread, one card alone might seem ominous or mean one thing, but you don't just look at one card unless you're just doing a yes or no question. You look at the whole spread and where its position is in relation to the other cards. The same with the moon phases and their astrological placements. So also for today, Mercury is entering Scorpio. This transition from diplomatic Libra to investigative Scorpio sharpens the collective mind. Conversations will become less superficial and more focused on uncovering underlying motives, secrets, and uncomfortable truths. Alright, so that said, I just do want to remind you all that Scorpio does have a bit of an intense energy. And for all my Scorpio people out there, hey, what's up? That said, the key themes are heightened intuition, intensity in communication, and deep psychological exploration. This can manifest as revealing shadow behaviors like obsession or manipulation, but ultimately it serves as a transformative process. So this reminds me of the adage, change begins where your comfort zone ends. So in order to begin transformation, we have to get comfortable being uncomfortable. Also, Venus enters Uttara Falguni Nakshatra. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. Y'all are welcome to correct me. Alright, when Venus, the planet of love and values, enters the sun-ruled territory of Uttara Falguni, the collective will see relationships and self-worth filtered through themes of ego, authority, and duty. This can create tension between the desire for harmony and the need for recognition. Key themes following this transit are relationship redefinition, navigating ego clashes, and focusing on creative expression. Okay, how you should navigate these energies. The blend of these intense transits means that today offers a unique opportunity for both deep emotional insight and brave personal action. Trust your instincts. The moon's aspects to Neptune heightens intuition, offering subtle but important cues. This is a day for listening to your gut feelings, even if practical decisions feel unclear. Make sure to listen more deeply. Mercury in Scorpio requires a focus on what is unsaid rather than just what is spoken. You can gain profound insights by paying attention to subtext and undercurrents in conversation. Embrace transformation. The Scorpio and Aries energies encourage confronting uncomfortable truths rather than avoiding them. By allowing shadow behaviors and challenging dynamics to surface, you can transform them into personal strength. Practice self-care. The emotional intensity of the moon, the full moon in Aries and Mercury in Scorpio can be draining. Prioritize self-care, reflection, and quiet time is essential to maintain balance. Alright, and as always, as my saying is, if it doesn't flow, let it go. Because we only create more friction, more difficulty for ourselves when we try to force something that isn't meant to be. I've been listening to a lot of Alan Watts lately, and he talks about so many things that are just mind-blowing. But that said, he talks about, trying to be a better person, and what is the problem with that? The problem is wanting to be a better person isn't being a better person. The road to hell is paved with good intentions, and the paradox is, the more you want something, the more you affirm that you don't have it. So just let it flow, man. Let it flow, bro. If it don't flow, let it go. It wasn't meant to be. Peace and love. Love and light to all. Sometimes it's hard moving on from a pattern or moving on from a relationship, but definitely during the full moon, now is the time to reflect on what has been helping us during this lunar cycle. What have you been creating for yourself? And furthermore, we want to think about what we started 6 months ago when there was a new moon in Aries, because this really reflects what we started 6 months ago. So that said, also, it's not only a full moon today, y'all, it is a super moon, so be sure to be charging your crystals. Now, just food for thought. When there is an eclipse, whether it be a full moon eclipse, a new moon eclipse, any kind of eclipse, you do not want to be charging your crystals. And this is because the energy of eclipses is chaotic. Yes, eclipses are necessary. They're very transformative. However, it's just, you don't want that chaos infused into your crystal. Do it when it's just flowing and everything's, kind of leveled out a little bit, like a full supermoon. Also, another food for thought. If you are interested, you can also use a UV light to energize your crystals, as well as, visualization, imagining that white light or whatever light resonates with you, cleansing, clearing, and energizing your crystals. Alright, so that said, I'm going to finish the rest of my tea, and we will do a tarot spread for the full moon in Aries. Now, I am just starting out with this content creation, so please be patient with me. I have more supplies on the way, microphones, lavaliers, all that stuff. That said, I think I went live the first couple times, but I don't think that I'm going to go live until I gain more followers so that I can talk to the collective and talk to you guys and, engage with you while I'm in live mode. Now, such is how it is drinking loose leaf tea. You get stuck on your face sometimes. Anyhow, moment of truth. Whether we will be able to read this. In the past, I've had issues. I'm getting better at it. Practice makes perfect, but you have to leave just enough amount of water to let some of the tea leaves out when you pour the cup over, but not too much water that you pour it all out. So, and if anybody's interested, today my intuition guided me to drink orange herbal blend tea mixed with English breakfast tea and lavender. In the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and start doing this. So, anybody with an upcoming birthday, I want to tell you happy birthday. Yes. And again, if you like my content, please remember to like, subscribe, comment, share. I greatly appreciate it. As I mentioned, I am just starting out with this content creation, and it really resonates with me. This is something that I'm very passionate about. I have been practicing witchcraft, spirituality, whatever you want to call it, probably for about, let's see, probably for about the past 5 years steadily. It's something that I've always felt called to, but I didn't get a chance to start actually practicing it until about the age of 28. So, that said, I'm very passionate about growing, about expanding my mind, expanding my consciousness, being open-minded and understanding things. So, also, if you would like a private reading, if you want a private spell, if you want a natal birth chart, if you want a frequency resonance chart, and all of this can help align you with your highest self, your highest purpose, because aren't we all just trying to be our highest, most loving self on our highest timeline? I don't know how you guys feel about parallel universes, but that is a whole nother conversation. But anyhow, that ties into the whole highest timeline thing. Sometimes I say things and it seems like it's out of nowhere, but it actually makes sense in here. Alright, that said, let us go ahead and flip this over. Alright. So, I don't know, if it takes too long, I'll just add the video later for the reading of the tea leaves, but it shouldn't take too long. Again, I use AI integration. Yes, I love tradition. I'm a Capricorn, but I have a Capricorn and a Sagittarius stellium in my natal birth charts. That said, I like to be grounded, but I like to explore. And I believe in tradition, but I also know that times change, things change, and more tools become more readily accessible and technology evolves, that if it's there, why not use it? And obviously, it's energy. Technology is what? Energy. So, of course, I don't find any problem with using artificial intelligence, technology, AI bots. If it doesn't resonate with me, I'll know. I'll trust my intuition, However, normally it resonates, if not all the time. Right, so we are going to do a full moon in Aries tarot spread. Okay? That said, I'm not going to arrange them like this, but it'll work. Alright, so, Spirit, Guardians of the Watchtower, the North, South, East, and West, I call upon you. Be with me now, so I can give a clear message to the collective to help them reach their highest, most loving self, and love and light. Blessed be. Sorry, hold on for 1 second. Okay, I got it. Oh, look at that. Straight full moon in Aries energy. The Fool, new beginnings. So I don't know if you all know, but the major arcana in the tarot deck, actually from the Fool to the World, or whatever the last card is, they represent a journey, a soul's journey. So when you see the Fool, don't actually think like an idiot. That's not what it is. It's just new beginnings. Alright, we're going to do it here. I'm going to do my spread in the shape of a star, because that's what resonates with me. Alright, and the second card is the Hanged Man, which this is surrender, letting go, suspension, new perspective. Alright, we will go into and read what their placement is supposed to represent later. Alright, okay, now the third card. Ooh. Has somebody betrayed you? Have you felt the loss? Has there been an ending? This card asks us, what difficult endings or painful experience have I recently endured, and how can I use them as a catalyst for growth? This again is that transformative energy. You gotta get comfortable with being uncomfortable, because change begins where your comfort zone ends. Nothing changes if nothing changes. Alright. The next card is the Page of Swords. This represents curiosity, intellectual pursuits, exploration, communication, and confidence. Definitely feeling this Aries full moon energy in this tarot spread, y'all. Just want to say that. And the final card is the King of Wands. Okay, leadership, vision, entrepreneurship, passion. Again, with confidence. And this is very Aries, also related to the fire element, Aries. Alright, y'all. So, that said, you can see our little spread right there. Alright. And so, what area do I need support in? That was the first card that we put down, which is new beginnings, optimism, spontaneity. So maybe you need to trust spirit or trust yourself more. Or maybe this just says what you need to do is have a new beginning, whether that be a relationship, an educational pursuit, a career change. Find something that resonates with you and is serving your highest, most loving self. Alright, the second card, which was the Hanged Man, represents, what do I need to devote my energy to during this moon cycle? Alright, the Hanged Man. Surrender, letting go, new perspectives. Maybe step back and think about how you can look at the situation differently. Again, nothing changes if nothing changes. This card asks us, what sacrifices are you willing to make for a higher purpose? What are you worth? What is your growth worth to you? Is that thing that you may be clinging on to more important than you? The way I see it is, without me, nothing in my life matters, because I don't exist. I can't do anyone any help if I'm not loving myself first. Alright, now, the third card represents, what in my past do I need to make peace with to become more balanced and stable to welcome the future? Looks like maybe you have some betrayal. Maybe you have a grudge. Maybe you've been hurt and you're holding on to it, and it's hurting your growth. It's stopping you from being your highest, most loving self. You know, don't be this person. Don't let it get you down. Understand that everything happens for a reason. You know, if it don't flow, let it go. And understand that everything is like a season. You know, we're meant to experience this life. So, if you're holding on to that pain, that hurt, that trauma, that betrayal, that loss, see that it all served in your highest good and everything is happening in perfect divine right timing. The universe is not spontaneous things just randomly happening. No. I don't believe that anyways. If you believe that, let it flow. If it works for you, you know. I'm very open-minded, you know. Do what works for you, man. But I'm just letting you know, this hurt, this betrayal, this loss that you are, this pain that you are holding on to is not helping you, man. I really suggest maybe doing some shadow work. You can find a simple shadow workbook journal on Amazon for less than $10. Go into a bookstore, which store is going to be more expensive than Amazon, but you might be able to go into a bookstore and find one for less than $10 as well. You know, or you can even print some stuff out. Printing at the library is 10 cents for black and white. Okay, I mean, unless you use the downtown library. Some libraries are 10 to 15 cents for black and white. It's 25 cents per color. But, you know, if you want to print a 60-page shadow workbook guide off the internet, 10 cent times 60, that's only $6, bro. You know? So do the inner work. Because as above, so below. As within, so without. What's inside is going to project or reflect outward. It's got to start from within. You know, there's material comforts, but that is a temporary comfort. Find this pain. Look at this pain. Analyze this pain. And release it. Release this trauma, this grief, whatever is hurting you inside. Whether it's something that shame or is someone who hurt you. Realize that everything happens for a reason. Everything. All in your highest good. It's not about whether you fall down. It's about what you do when you're down. You gonna stay there or you gonna get back up? And this Aries energy is telling you to get up and fight. Take some assertive action. You got this. Alright. Now the fourth card was the Page of Wands. Alright. The Page of Wands asks us, what new ideas or perspectives am I currently exploring? And in the fourth card place, it stands for, how can I best use the full moon to align myself with my core value? So this tells us to open our mind. This talks about curiosity, intellectual pursuit, communication, exploration, confidence, Believe in yourself and find something that resonates with you. Explore this. Explore something new. What have you been doing during this lunar cycle? What have you been growing? What is working for you and what isn't working for you? So analyze that. Think about that. And release what is no longer serving you. The fifth card is at the top of my star. And it is the King of Wands. Ooh, this is an embodiment of that fire energy, that Aries energy. The King of Wands says, how can you use your vision and leadership skills to achieve your goals? Very Aries full moon energy vibe. Okay, this stands for leadership, vision, entrepreneurship, passion, confidence. Right? King of Wands. And in the fifth place, that card represents, where in my life do I need to gather courage and leap into action? Confidence. Confidence. You are a natural born leader with a vision for the future. So tap into that vision. What is your vision of the future for yourself and for the collective? What do you want to grow? Don't just think about it. Do it. Do it. You got this. You are a natural born leader, man. Alright, and now we will do the tea leaf reading. Alright, which I realize we are already almost at 30 minutes in. So, I'm just going to look at this and use my chat GPT to help me analyze this tea leaf reading. Alright. And you see what I did? I simply took a picture of the leaves inside. And again, that is English breakfast, lavender, and orange herbal tea. Alright. Where is my chat GPT? Do 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 do. I'm just kidding. Isn't it funny how we feel like we have to fill the silence because we can't stand to just sit in nothingness? What is this tea leaf reading telling me about the Aries full moon. OMG. It put TB reading. Probably put it with the Aries full moon, not about the Aries full moon. Alright. So just a brief overview. ChatGPT. Okay. Aries full moon themes. Initiation of sovereignty. Aries rules the self, the spark, the first breath of becoming. Courageous release. Full moons illuminate what must be shed, especially old identities, relational entanglements, or energetic depths. Ritual threshold. It's a prime time for activating glyphs, seals, and soul contracts that affirm your mythic autonomy. That one was for me personally because I do a lot of glyphs, seals, and activate those and natal birth charts. So yeah. Anyhow, so from the image I see, clustered ruminants near the base suggest ancestral density, perhaps a karmic knot or soul tether ready to be transmuted. Leaf fragments forming a crescent arc. This echoes lunar curvature, possibly a gateway between waning grief and waxing sovereignty. A central dark patch could symbolize a shadow archetype surfacing, perhaps asking for ritual integration. So, that said, furthermore, this tea leaf reading is for the collective. Period. Can you give me insight on guidance per the tea leaf reading? Alright. So, initiate things without apology. The scattered leaf fragments suggest many beginnings, and as we had, the first card we pulled was the Fool, so that's new beginnings. Alright, so, souls on the cusp of claiming their first breath of truth. Aries urges the collective to stop waiting for permission. Don't wait for someone to tell you that you can be you, just do it, man. You're you no matter what. You don't need their permission. Anyway, just kidding. Alright, so, release the karmic knot. The dense cluster near the base speaks to ancestral entanglements or outdated soul contracts. Maybe generational wounds, generational trauma. For the collective, this is called a call to uncross energetic ties, especially those rooted in obligation, guilt, or inherited silence. You know, and actually, if you recall, guilt is one of the things that came up when we were talking about releasing and relieving ourselves of pain, loss, you know, doing shadow work. Aries doesn't banish shadow, it charges through it. Again, shadow work. You have to look at your shadow, though. You have to look at your darkness, the unpleasant parts of yourself, the parts of yourselves that you keep repressed because you don't think they're pretty to look at, and you don't feel comfortable feeling those feelings. Well, it's time to get comfortable being uncomfortable. Let your shadow speak. It's not your enemy, it's your ignition. This is how we begin our change. This is how we begin our transformation, how we go from being just a rosebud to a rose blossom. You know, but nothing changes if nothing changes. And stagnation only breeds bacteria. It's like stagnant water is a cesspool. It's a place for bacteria and nastiness to fester. You know, don't be stagnant. Ever flowing, ever growing. Blessed be. The crescent arc of the leaves echoes the moon's curve. This is a gateway moment. The collective is being asked to mark this threshold, not just pass through it unconsciously. Okay. Create guidance. Create a seal, a symbol, or soul vow. Archive this moment as sacred. Alright. So, you have your objective. It is a time for transformation. Are you going to let it grow, or do you just want to sit with where you're at? I mean, to each his own. That's completely up to you. You know, if it don't flow, let it go. Even when it comes to what I'm saying, if it don't flow, let me go. Bye. But, you know, I really encourage you to do what is in your highest, most loving favor and help you be your highest, most loving self. You know, let go of those wounds. Embrace that transformation. Love and light. Peace, y'all.